Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the most in-depth analysis of the glamour, power, and betrayal in Los Angeles. Today is a brilliant day to dive into the latest corporate earthquakes shaking the foundation of our favorite fashion dynasty. The glittering, glass-walled corridors of Forrester Creations have always been a battleground disguised as a sanctuary of haute couture. Behind the velvet ropes, the blinding flashes of the runway cameras, and the pristine displays of luxury, a ruthless war for supremacy is constantly raging. This battlefield is fueled by generational grievances, deeply bruised egos, and an insatiable thirst for absolute control. As we approach the highly anticipated broadcast on Tuesday, May 12, 2026, the atmosphere within the legendary fashion house has grown suffocatingly tense. The air is thick with the metallic scent of impending betrayal, and the meticulously constructed hierarchy that Steffi Forrester Finnegan has fiercely protected is about to face its most formidable challenge yet. A massive power shift is brewing, orchestrated by none other than the matriarch of the Logan family herself, Brooke Logan Forrester. The sheer audacity of this impending corporate maneuver threatens to shatter the fragile peace and ignite a family feud of unprecedented proportions, tearing the company apart from the inside out. To understand the gravity of the impending explosion, one must first examine the psychological metamorphosis of Brooke Logan Forrester. For years, Brooke has been the romantic anchor, the passionate muse, and occasionally the collateral damage in the perpetual Forrester family drama. However, Tuesday's episode promises to unveil a startlingly different, far more aggressive facet of her character. This is not the Brooke who simply stands by her man or relies solely on her emotional intuition to navigate family crises. This is a Brooke who has been completely awakened and radicalized by the tears, frustrations, and relentless urging of her daughter, Hope Logan Spencer. Driven by a fierce maternal instinct that has now seamlessly merged with a dormant, potent corporate ambition, Brooke is stepping out of the shadows of the design room and directly into the crosshairs of executive power. She is no longer asking politely for a seat at the table. She is preparing to seize the head of it. The realization that she could co-run the empire alongside Ridge Forrester has intoxicated her, filling her with a renewed sense of purpose and an unyielding optimism that is both inspiring to her allies and deeply dangerous to her rivals. The primary catalyst for this monumental shift is, undeniably, Hope Logan Spencer. The once idealistic creator of the Hope for the Future line has reached an absolute psychological breaking point. For months, Hope has endured the agonizing humiliation of watching her life's work be systematically marginalized, paused, and sidelined by Steffi's executive decrees. Steffi's condescending leadership style, her blatant prioritization of Eric Forster's couture line, and her dismissive attitude have fundamentally altered Hope's worldview. The bright-eyed optimism that once defined her has curdled into a cold, calculating fury. Hope is no longer willing to play the victim or simply pack up her designs and defect to the rival Logan brand. Instead, she has chosen a far more destructive path, a hostile takeover from within. By pushing her mother to demand the co-CEO position, Hope is weaponizing Brooke's legacy and her undeniable influence over Ridge. It is a masterstroke of manipulation, raising serious and uncomfortable questions about Hope's true motivations. Is she genuinely a disenfranchised visionary fighting for her rightful place, or has the bitterness of rejection transformed her into a vengeful architect of chaos? The sheer brilliance of Hope's strategy lies in its emotional manipulation of the existing power dynamics. By convincing Brooke that she inherently deserves the co-CEO title, Hope is simultaneously stroking her mother's ego and setting a devastating trap for Steffi. The psychological toll of this manipulation is profound and far-reaching. Hope is essentially demanding that Brooke choose between maintaining the fragile, hard-won peace with her stepdaughter and validating her own biological daughter's worth. As we watch Brooke embrace this new, aggressive persona, it becomes increasingly clear that the lines between maternal protection and corporate greed have become hopelessly blurred. Brooke's sudden revelation of this ruthless side is a testament to the fact that when pushed to the absolute limit, the Logan women will fight with a ferocity that rivals even the most hardened Forrester patriarch. The impending clash is not just about a corner office with a view of the Los Angeles skyline. It is a brutal battle for validation, respect, and the ultimate vindication of the Logan name within the hallowed halls of Forrester Creations. Caught in the agonizing epicenter of this brewing storm is Ridge Forrester, a man who has historically despised the cold, calculating nature of boardroom politics. Ridge is a creator at heart, a visionary whose soul belongs to the drafting table, the luxurious fabrics, and the art of the perfect silhouette. Yet, he now finds himself trapped in an impossible crucible, forced to act as the ultimate arbiter in a war between the two women who define his very existence, his wife and his daughter. The burden of leadership has never weighed heavier on his broad shoulders. When Brooke approaches him with the audacious proposal to become his co-CEO, Ridge is immediately thrust into a state of profound internal conflict. He knows intimately the historical animosity between Brooke and Steffi. He knows that granting Brooke's request is tantamount to declaring war on his own flesh and blood. Yet, he also recognizes the undeniable truth in Carter Walton's recent prophetic warnings. Ridge is slowly awakening to the terrifying realization that he has passively enabled Steffi to become an executive monster, allowing her hubris to run unchecked until it pushed their most valuable assets to the brink of defection. The tension leading up to Ridge's fateful conversation with Steffi is nothing short of cinematic, dripping with dramatic irony and impending doom. As Steffi stews in her office, fuming over Hope's continued insubordination and completely unaware of the guillotine poised directly above her neck, Ridge must summon the courage to deliver the unthinkable. This is not a simple business transaction. It is a profound, emotional betrayal in Steffi's eyes. When Ridge finally enters Steffi's domain, the atmosphere instantly shifts. He carries the weight of his impending confession like a physical burden, his posture betraying the immense anxiety churning within him. Ridge's approach is agonizingly cautious. He attempts to soften the blow, dropping subtle hints about the unrest in the building, about Brooke's long-standing contributions to the company's success, and about the desperate need for harmony in the executive suites. But Steffi, ever the sharp and intuitive executive, immediately senses the hesitation in her father's voice. She assumes, naturally, that Brooke has overstepped her boundaries and that Ridge has swiftly and decisively shut down her ridiculous ambitions. The climax of the episode arrives in a masterfully constructed scene of deafening silence, horrifying realization, and explosive fury. As Steffi confidently asserts that the co-CEO position is already occupied by her, fully expecting her father to nod in agreement and dismiss the absurd notion, Ridge remains agonizingly silent. It is in this heavy, suffocating silence that Steffi's entire world begins to fracture. She slowly raises her eyes, meeting her father's conflicted, guilt-ridden gaze, and the horrifying truth dawns on her. Ridge does not dismiss Brooke's request. Instead, he utters the words that will inevitably ignite the Forrester-Logan war. He admits that Brooke might actually be right. He attempts to couch the betrayal in diplomatic, corporate terms, perhaps suggesting that a temporary realignment of power might be best for the overall health of the company. He implies the unthinkable, that Steffi should accept a demotion to a different role so that Brooke can ascend. To Steffi, these words are not a logical business proposal. They're a direct, violent declaration of war. They are a fundamental rejection of her leadership, her birthright, and her relentless dedication to the family empire. Steffi's reaction is a volcanic eruption of pure, unadulterated fury. For years, she has fought tooth and nail to secure her position at the apex of the fashion world. She has sacrificed her personal life, endured endless corporate battles, and carried the legacy of her grandfather Eric Forrester, with unwavering pride and fierce determination. To be asked to step aside, to accept a humiliating demotion so that her perennial rival, Brooke Logan, can ascend to the throne, is an insult of catastrophic proportions. Steffi's executive hubris, which has admittedly alienated so many of her colleagues in recent weeks, now hardens into an impenetrable armor of defiance. She fiercely defends her territory, insisting with venomous, absolute certainty that the Cosio seat belongs exclusively to her. She demands that Brooke back down immediately, refusing to entertain even the slight possibility of relinquishing her hard-earned power. This is not just a disagreement over a title. It is a visceral, deeply emotional fight for survival in a corporate world where any sign of weakness is instantly and ruthlessly exploited. Meanwhile, completely insulated from the devastation and fury unfolding in Steffi's office, Brooke and Hope engage in a premature and deeply ironic celebration. The stark contrast between Steffi's agonizing betrayal and the Logan's joyous anticipation is a brilliant stroke of dramatic storytelling, highlighting the deep emotional chasm dividing the two families. Hope, witnessing her mother's fierce determination and newfound executive aggression, feels a profound sense of vindication. She genuinely believes that this seismic shift in leadership is the ultimate salvation, the magic bullet that will resurrect her stalled fashion line and restore her creative dignity. The mother-daughter duo revels in the intoxicating possibility of running Forrester Creations side by side with Ridge, painting a utopian vision of the future that is utterly disconnected from the brutal reality of the war they have just initiated. Their optimism is blinding, preventing them from seeing the catastrophic collateral damage their ambition is about to inflict upon the entire extended family and the company they claim to love. As the dust settles on this explosive confrontation, the broader implications for the Forrester and Logan dynasties begin to crystallize, revealing a landscape fraught with peril. The echoes of past corporate coups, particularly the infamous maneuvers involving Carter Walton, resonate loudly through the halls of the building. Carter's desperate, unheeded warnings to Ridge and Steffi have now materialized into a living, breathing nightmare. The company is fracturing along deeply entrenched familial lines, threatening to undo decades of hard work and collaboration. The revelation of Hope's dark, manipulative influence over her mother casts a long, sinister shadow over the entire affair. Is Hope truly fighting for the future of her brand, or has she become consumed by a dark, vindictive desire to completely dismantle Steffi's life and legacy? The psychological complexity of Hope's transformation from a beacon of morality into a ruthless corporate tactician is one of the most compelling narratives the show has ever produced, challenging viewers to question the very nature of righteousness, ambition, and revenge. The impending corporate war also sends massive shockwaves far beyond the walls of Forrester Creations, reaching the luxurious offices of their rivals. The newly established Logan brand, spearheaded by the fiercely ambitious Katie Logan Spencer and the ruthlessly calculating Bill Spencer, watches the chaos unfold with a mixture of predatory anticipation and deep-seated panic. Liam Spencer's panicked revelation of Brooke's power play has already set the Logan camp on edge, terrified of the monolithic threat a united Forrester-Brooke empire would pose to their nascent, booming success. The intricate web of alliances and betrayals is becoming impossibly tangled, with loyalties shifting by the hour. Donna Logan's desperate, heartbreaking pleas for her sisters to prioritize their family bond over their insatiable business ambition seem destined to be drowned out by the deafening roar of corporate warfare. The tragedy of the Logan sisters, tearing each other apart in the pursuit of validation and power, serves as a poignant, agonizing counterpoint to the explosive drama at Forrester. Furthermore, the collateral damage within Forrester Creations is beginning to mount at an alarming rate. Zen Forrester, already pushed to the absolute edge of his sanity by Steffi's dismissive shelving of his hope for the future collection, watches the executive bloodbath with simmering, toxic resentment. The The realization that the upper echelons of the company are entirely consumed by their own petty, familial squabbles, while genuine talent languishes in the shadows, is the final, unforgivable insult. The possibility of Zend and potentially other disenfranchised creatives defecting to the Logan brand becomes an increasingly realistic and devastating threat. Steffi's arrogance has not only alienated hope, but has systematically eroded the loyalty of the very people who build the company's foundation. Ridge's desperate attempt to placate Brooke may ultimately be the catalyst that triggers a mass exodus of talent, leaving Forrester Creations a hollow, glittering shell of its former glory. In analyzing Ridge's psychology during this unprecedented crisis, we must acknowledge the historical patterns that have defined his life and his leadership. Ridge is a man who chronically avoids emotional confrontation until it reaches an explosive boiling point. By entertaining Brooke's demand, he is attempting to apply a temporary, flimsy bandage to a mortal wound. He falsely believes that he can navigate this impossible situation through diplomacy, charm, and compromise, failing entirely to understand that Steffi and Brooke view this conflict as a brutal zero-sum game. There can be no shared throne, no peaceful coexistence at the absolute pinnacle of power. Ridge's agonizing hesitation, his inability to decisively crush Brooke's ambition or definitively strip Steffi of her title, is the very weakness that will allow the war to consume them all. His tragic flaw is his desperate desire to be the hero to both women, a biological and corporate impossibility that will inevitably result in him betraying them both, leaving a trail of broken hearts and shattered trust in his wake. As we look toward the remainder of the week and the undeniable, catastrophic fallout of Tuesday's bombshell, the dramatic atmosphere is charged with an electric, almost suffocating anticipation. The battle lines have been irrevocably drawn, and there is no turning back. On one side stands Steffi Forrester Finnegan, the fiercely protective, fiercely proud heir apparent, ready to defend her grandfather's legacy with every ounce of her formidable strength and intellect. On the other side stands Brooke Logan Forrester, revitalized, radicalized, and armed with the unyielding support of her daughter and the complicated, enduring love of the patriarch. This is not a conflict that can be resolved with a simple board meeting or a tense conversation over espresso. This is a fundamental clash of ideologies, a war for the very soul and future of Forrester Creations. The pristine white walls of the executive suites are about to be stained with the metaphorical blood of a family tearing itself apart in the name of power, pride, and the relentless, intoxicating pursuit of supremacy. In conclusion, the events unfolding on Tuesday, May 12, 2026, represent a monumental paradigm shift in the universe of the bold and the beautiful. The sheer magnitude of Brooke's ambition, coupled with Steffi's blinding shock and subsequent, uncontrollable fury, guarantees that the landscape of Los Angeles fashion will never, ever be the same. The intricate character motivations, the deep-seated historical resentments bubbling to the surface, and the brilliant, agonizing internal conflicts elevate this storyline from mere daytime drama to a Shakespearean tragedy of corporate proportions. As viewers, we are left breathless, clinging to the edge of our seats, acutely aware that the storm has finally broken over the House of Forrester. The only question that remains is who will be left standing when the dust finally settles, and what, if anything, will be left of the magnificent empire they fought so ruthlessly to control. The stage is set, the actors are in place, and the curtain is rising on the most